What is up? What is up? What is up, awesome people of the internet? Guys, welcome to the WNBA Finals for 2024. Guys, the WNBA Finals does tip off tomorrow. That is Thursday. And before that happens, I want to make sure that we all are aware of what's going on. I want to talk about the teams that are in the finals. I want to talk about some players that you all should keep an eye out on. We're going to say some predictions, give some keys to the game, and tell you basically everything you need to know about the WNBA Finals, which does kick off tomorrow. So hopefully y'all are ready for this, guys. We're going to have a quick little stream where we talk about all this stuff. So hope y'all are excited because the WNBA Finals is about to get underway. Now, as we've done before for these live streams, I want to start with the cheat sheet. I want to start with the cheat sheet to sort of talk through how we got to where we got to. All right. So 8 teams made the WNBA playoffs. The best 8 teams in the WNBA. There is no East versus West when it comes to the WNBA playoffs. It is just best 8 teams made the playoffs. They played each other in that first round. The winners moved on. In the first round was a best of 3. And one interesting thing is that all of the top seeds won in the first round. All right. All of the top seeds won in that first round. And that was best of 3. They all swept the teams and they won in 2 games. All right. Then we went on to the semifinals, which just wrapped up last night. So we went into the semifinals and we saw the Las Vegas Aces play the New York Liberty. Ultimately, the New York Liberty was able to finish out that series in 4 games. And last night, we saw the Minnesota Lynx versus the Connecticut Sun and saw it go to game 5. And in that series, we saw the Minnesota Lynx get the win in emphatic numbers yesterday. And now we are finally at the WNBA Finals. Now, unlike the NBA, the WNBA Finals is a 5-game series. It is not a 7-game series. It's a 5-game series, and I do think that we're going to go for all five games in this series. Guys, the games will be available, of course, as always, on the ESPN networks. And we're going to go over the channels that these games are going to be on. So if you're like, hey, what channel am I going to watch this on? Don't worry. Wait about 2 minutes and we're going to get into that. Okay. So I just wanted to give the level set of how we got to where we got to. Okay. So we had a total of two rounds already. The first round, the semifinal, and now we are finally at the finals. All right. And let's take a quick look at the games that happened. Now, again, as I said before, for the first round, all the teams were swept. So the New York Liberty swept the Atlanta Dream. The Aces swept the Seattle Storm. The Connecticut Sun swept the Indiana Fever. The Minnesota Lynx swept the Phoenix Mercury. And then, of course, we see the semifinals where the New York Liberty win 3 games. The Aces win 1. And the Minnesota Lynx win 3 games. The Connecticut Sun win 2. And we are finally at the big matchup of the year. It is the New York Liberty versus the Minnesota Lynx in the finals, guys. We have 1 versus 2. The number 1 seed versus the number 2 seed in the WNBA finals, which does not happen that often. So this is like different territory that we're in. It doesn't happen that often that we have the number 1 versus number 2 in the playoffs. But I am excited for this one. Now, here are the dates. I want to make sure you all see the dates. Where you can watch the WNBA playoffs. Guys, all of the games besides 1 will be available on ESPN. Okay? So for game 1 that does start tomorrow, Thursday, October the 10th, that game is starting at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central Time on ESPN. Okay? Then we go to game 2, which is on October the 13th, which is a Sunday. And that game is at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, 2 p.m. Central Time. And that is the lone game of the series that will be on ABC. Okay. Game 3 is on Wednesday, October the 16th. And that is at 7 p.m. or 7 p.m. Central Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN. And game 4 will happen on October the 18th. and Game 5 will happen on October the 20th. Now, will we get to a Game 5? Maybe. We're going to talk about it. But we will at least have the first 3 games. And if it's a sweep, it's over after that. If it's not, we will continue to play ultimately best out of 5. Yeah. Now, guys, if y'all could please, as y'all are joining in, if y'all could please hit that like button, that really does help the channel out a lot. Thank you so much to the mods that are in the chat right now. Shout out to Frank. And shout out to the channel members that are in the chat as well. I see Mike in the building, so shout out to y'all. Thank y'all so much for y'all support. All right, let's continue on. Now, who are the New York Liberty? Well, the New York Liberty was the best team in the WNBA this year. They had a record for the regular season of 32-8. When healthy, the New York Liberty is a very, very difficult team to take down. It's hard to beat the New York Liberty, mainly because they have weapons everywhere. You have, shooters like Sabrina Ionescu, like Brianna Stewart, like Leonie Fibich, right? Like Kayla Thornton. Lots of shooters for this team. You also have players who are not necessarily like 3-point shooters that can also step out there and shoot those shots, especially, Jonquel Jones, Courtney Vandersloot, those types of players. They have a very, very talented lineup. To a point where if somebody has an off night, they can still win. That's how good the roster for the New York Liberty are. And even though their bench players don't play that often, like you have Niara Sabally, Kayla Thornton, those players can play. They can absolutely play. Though they don't have that many minutes in general. Now, their starting 5 for the New York Liberty, in my opinion, is the best in the league. I kind of went over some of the starters. But Jelani Hamilton, Leonie Fibich, Sabrina Ionescu, Jonquel Jones, and Brianna Stewart. That is a extremely, extremely talented starting lineup and definitely the best in the WNBA. Yes, the Minnesota Lynx do have a really good starting lineup as well, but Liberty for sure best, in my opinion. They also have a very productive bench, as I already talked about. But regardless of how good the New York Liberty has been this season, this is a team that has still yet to win a WNBA championship. The New York Liberty have made it to the WNBA finals 5 times in the past. 5 times. And they have still yet to win the entire thing. This year will mark their 6th appearance in the WNBA finals. Now, the New York Liberty is a team that, they've been here since the beginning. The New York Liberty have been here since the inaugural season. And still have yet to make it happen. All right. They have yet to make it happen. They've gotten there a lot of times. This is the second time that the New York Liberty has made it to back-to-back playoffs. Second time. And so we'll see. Maybe the 6th time is the charm for the New York Liberty. It's possible. It is very, very, very much possible that they can, end up getting a ring eventually. We'll see. Maybe this is the year. I think it actually might be the year. But anyway, the New York Liberty is a team that's made it to the finals several times, but has yet to win it. Whereas the Minnesota Lynx is a team that has won a championship 4 times. Not that they make the finals 4 times. No, they have won the WNBA championship 4 times. They are trying for their 5th for the Minnesota Lynx. This is a team that has been very, very good this season. Surprisingly good for a lot of folks, myself included. They had a record of 30 wins and 10 losses this season. They were in second place to finish the WNBA season. This is a team that is exceptionally good on defense. They have one of the best defenses in the WNBA. They are a team that is not very long, right? They're not tall. They don't have very tall players. The tallest players they have is Dorka Juhas and Alana Smith. Not a tall team. However, they are a very active team on defense. They're very active, hands up. They are a team that can switch just about any position Any player can guard just about anybody, and that's a thing that really does help them defensively. Helps them stay active and get stops. They also are a really good team that can shoot. Right, the Minnesota Lynx are shooting 38% from the three this year, which is pretty efficient. They have really good 3-point shooters. When we think about the Minnesota Lynx, they have a player like a Caleb McBride, or AKA Caleb McBuckets. She's a player that can absolutely light it up. When Caleb McBride gets hot, oh, she's on fire. She can get really, really hot really quickly. And if you're going against her, you just got to ride the wave. You just have to ride the wave for Caleb McBride. She is a player who will get you points. She will get you points. And, sometimes she's off and sometimes she doesn't play that well. But when she's cooking, oh, Caleb McBride is cooking. This season, she's averaging 13.6 points a game. Other players for the Minnesota Lynx that can shoot threes. Not only do you have Caleb McBride, you also have Bridget Carlton. Bridget Carlton is one of the big shot makers and big shot takers for the Minnesota Lynx. She has ice in her veins when you need a big 3-point shot. Oh, call on Bridget Carlton. She's not worried about the big stage, that she can light it up and she could shoot from the three. You also have Alana Smith is a player who also is a really good 3-point shooter. Even though she is a post player, she also can shoot the 3-point shot really well. You have other players like a Courtney Williams, who usually is known as the mid-range assassin, but we did see her do a fantastic job in Game 5 of shooting threes. Courtney Williams, she's been practicing. She's been practicing those 3-point shots, and she can absolutely shoot them. And this team has quite a few players who can shoot from the three. Just about everybody can shoot from the three for this team. And they also have the best coach. While Sandy Brondello for the New York Liberty is a awesome coach, the best coach in the WNBA, in my opinion, is Cheryl Reeve. Cheryl Reeve is a coach that will pretty much always get her team to the playoffs. They consistently make the playoffs, even if they don't consistently have a great roster. This is a roster that is sort of like a hodgepodge of sorts, right? You have Caleb McBride, who has experience with the Minnesota Lynx. You have Bridget Carlton, experience with the Lynx. But you bring in 2 new starters that were brand new to the program. 2 new starters that are not necessarily starters on other teams in the WNBA, but it works for the Minnesota Lynx. You have Alana Smith, a player who was out of the WNBA 2 years ago. 2 years ago, Alana Smith got cut by the Indiana Fever. She was cut by the Indiana Fever. Last year, she played for the Chicago Sky. And this year, she is starting in the finals. What a trajectory for Alana Smith. You also have a player like a Courtney Williams, a player who was in Atlanta, a player who went to Connecticut, then goes to Chicago. Now it seems like she has really, really found a home in Minnesota, and she's absolutely doing her thing for this team. And these are 2 players who, may not be starting on any other team. But the system that they play in, they're not role players, but they sort of are. And it works exceptionally well for this Minnesota Lynx team. But the reason why it works well is because of Coach Cheryl Reeve. You can't just put players together and expect everything to work. No. It takes a really good coach to figure out, okay, well, you go here. Okay, let's work this system. I know you may not be comfortable in this position, but let's stretch you. Let's get you better. And that is exactly what Cheryl Reeve does. That's exactly what she does. And also, Nafisa Collier is a cheat code. In the first round alone, she had 80 points in 2 games. We're going to talk about what she did overall in the playoffs, but Nafisa Collier is a cheat code. She has the best footwork in the WNBA. Truly the best footwork. She is a player who is just, she's fantastic. She is absolutely fantastic of a player. Also, this is a team that's trying for their 5th championship. As I said earlier, the New York Liberty is a team that has never won a WNBA championship, and the Minnesota Lynx is a team that won 4 times already. They won 4 times. They are trying for their 5th WNBA championship. Now, guys, one of the awesome things about this year's finals that I absolutely love, because, guys, we absolutely love to have storylines, right? We love storylines when it comes to big games, and we have a fantastic storyline, in my opinion. The reason the storyline is what you see on the graphic right here. You see it on the graphic where it says "Together Again." This is an opportunity where we will see the continued reunification of Napheesa Collier and Breanna Stewart. Now, guys, if you don't know, Napheesa Collier and Breanna Stewart were teammates, actually. They were teammates, I believe, in 2016, or the 2015-2016 UConn Huskies. They were teammates. This is the team that won. This is the team that won the national championship. This is the year where UConn went 38-0. They went 38-0 on the season. Of course, won the NCAA championship that year. But they were teammates. Napheesa and Stewie were teammates in that year. This is a duo that has come back together. They've come back together to be teammates again for Team USA, right? For Team USA, we've seen them play together. So they played together at UConn. They have played together with Team USA. And in the WNBA, they have been playing against each other. Napheesa Collier with the Minnesota Lynx and Breanna Stewart when she was with Seattle at first and now with the New York Liberty. And also, they now have a joint venture together where they both are co-founders and co-owners of a new women's basketball league called Unrivaled. This is a duo that are like really, really good friends. They have done a lot of stuff together. They've accomplished quite a lot of stuff with being each other's teammates, right? They have a bond that has lasted, close to a decade now. And, we're once again going to see Breanna Stewart and Napheesa Collier go head-to-head on one of the biggest stages. So I wanted to talk about that because I thought it was pretty awesome, the fact that we have Breanna Stewart versus Napheesa Collier. It's going to be fun. It's going to be very, very, very fun. Now, I do want to kind of go diving a little bit into both Napheesa Collier and Breanna Stewart and like who they are. I want to do some like player profiles real quick. So who is Napheesa Collier? Napheesa Collier is a straight up bucket. She is a 6'1" power forward. Yes, you heard me right. I said a 6'1" power forward. She is not tall at all, but she is a very, very efficient scorer. She's a player who can shoot, play with her back to the basket, get to the rim, back to the basket, turn around, fadeaway jump shot. She is a player who can get the ball face up, jab step, make something happen. Either that's a jump shot or that's driving to the basket or that's a fadeaway off of the jab step. She's a player who can shoot the 3-point shot well. Also, she's also a player who is an extremely good defender. This season, Napheesa Collier won the WNBA Defensive Player of the Year award. This is an award that I think she did well deserve. She is a player who, when you look at the stats, maybe she doesn't have the most defensive stats. But when you watch the game and you watch how she impacts the other team's offense, it's huge. It is absolutely huge. Again, 2024 Defensive Player of the Year for Napheesa Collier. She also was the runner-up for this year's MVP. As we all know, the MVP went to A'ja Wilson, but Napheesa Collier had a fantastic year, and well deserved that runner-up status. And I'm pretty confident that very soon we will see Napheesa Collier actually win the MVP award. When it comes to this year's playoffs, Napheesa Collier has been balling. She's averaging 27.1 points a game, 9.6 rebounds a game, and 3.9 assists per game in the 7 playoff games that the Minnesota Lynx have played so far. She is absolutely doing her thing. Now, we move from Napheesa Collier, and we take a look at her former teammate, now competitor, Breanna Stewart. Now, Breanna Stewart is a player who, also a real quick thing to note, is that Napheesa Collier has been with the Minnesota Lynx her entire career. And we juxtapose that with Breanna Stewart, who initially started off her career with the Seattle Storm, and then has decided to go to the New York Liberty. Breanna Stewart is a 6'4" power forward with a 7'1" wingspan. She has a 7'1" wingspan, and she plays power forward in the WNBA. Breanna Stewart is a player who has literally won just about everything. If there's a championship to win, if there's an award to win, Breanna Stewart has probably won that. She is a player who has won 4 consecutive national championships in college when she was at UConn. 4 consecutive, guys. She is a player who's of course won several Olympic gold medals. So has Napheesa Collier as well. But Breanna Stewart has won just about every single level. She's a former 2-time WNBA MVP. She also won the WNBA championship twice when she was with the Seattle Storm in 2018 and 2020. Both of those times, in 2018 and 2020, she was the finals MVP. And in 2018, she was also WNBA MVP. And so, again, 2018 was a very special year for Breanna Stewart. She won the WNBA regular season MVP. Her team wins the WNBA championship, and then she is named the WNBA finals MVP. Like, crazy stuff for Breanna Stewart. Again, she's just been a dominant player just about her entire career. Now, let's continue on to talk about Breanna Stewart. Let's talk about how she's done so far this playoffs. So in 6 games, Breanna Stewart is averaging 20 points a game, 8.2 rebounds a game, and 3.5 assists per game. Oh, that's pretty funny. Yeah, Vera says Breanna Stewart has won everywhere except at New York. Yes, that is true. That is very, very much true. Very, very much true. All right, let's continue on. Let's take a look at the previous matchups. So the Minnesota Lynx and the New York Liberty have faced each other a total of 3 times for the regular season, and plus the Commissioner's Cup. So first, let's talk about the 3 times that they've played. In the 3 times that they have played, the Minnesota Lynx do lead the series 2-1. Minnesota has been pretty dominant in the series. They won that first game 84-67. That game happened on May the 25th. Then they faced again 2 months after that. And in that game, we actually saw the New York Liberty win that one 76-67. And then they recently faced again that this time Minnesota winning 88-79. Now, those are the regular season contests, but the game that mattered probably the most that we saw earlier this year is we saw the Minnesota Lynx take down the New York Liberty in the Commissioner's Cup. Now, guys, the reason why the Commissioner's Cup is not counted towards the The regular season is just because that's WNBA rules. It doesn't count. But in the Commissioner's Cup, which happened on June 25th, we saw the Minnesota Lynx take down the New York Liberty. That final score was 94-89. Now, guys, if y'all remember that game, that was a game that actually could not happen at Barclays Center because I believe there was a concert or something happening. So they had to move the game. The game happened in New York, or not technically not New York, but New York was home for that game. But they had to move it away from Barclays Center. But yeah, that was that game. And Minnesota ended up winning. But that was like really, really awesome. In that game, in that Commissioner's Cup game, Napheesa Collier absolutely dominated. She had 21 points in that game, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals, and she ultimately won the Commissioner's Cup MVP. So, the reason why I say that the Commissioner's Cup meant more than the regular season is because they actually won money. You win money when you win the Commissioner's Cup, a lot of money. And the players got paid. The Minnesota Lynx players got paid for winning that Commissioner's Cup game against the New York Liberty. Now, all of that, of course, doesn't matter anymore because, the finals, the slate's wiped clean. It's 0-0 in the finals. However, I did want to let you all know the historics of, what's going on with these teams, right? And how they played this year and what has happened. Basically, Napheesa Collier tends to do very, very well in these matchups. And I don't doubt there will be anything different. Now, guys, we're about to head over to keys to the game, but I want to check the chat real quick and see what y'all are talking about. Let's see. Warley says, that was the game I prayed Sandy would move Sloot to the bench for good. Thank goodness she heard me. Oh, the Commissioner's Cup game? All right. Vera also says that Minnesota would have a better record if Napheesa Collier was not out for 6 games. Facts. I think that's facts. Yeah. D-Max says, man, I hope the 6th time is the charm. I was 15 when the league started. I'm now 42. 1 win for Teaspoon, Sue Wicks, Kim Hampton, and Rebecca Lobo. Okay, D-Mac is the OG fan. Wow, been around for a long time. Rasa, we are not talking Sky today. I will do another video about the Chicago Sky, but we will not talk about that in today's live stream. Today's live stream is strictly the finals. All right. Lindy says, I think this will go 5 games, no matter who wins. Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right about that. All right. Now let's go over to the keys to the game. Now let's first start with the New York Liberty. So, for the New York Liberty, here is what I think are the keys to the game. Number 1, give Napheesa Collier multiple looks. Now, when we look at Napheesa Collier, she is a cheat code, right? She is a player who, if you want to put a guard on her, she can use her physicality and score. If you want to put a traditional type of post on her, she's gonna blow by them. She is a literal cheat code. However, a way that the New York Liberty can stop her, in my opinion, is to give her several different looks. And what I mean by that is Benigilani Hamilton guards Napheesa Collier. Brianna Stewart guards Napheesa Collier. At times, though not very often, Jonquel Jones guard Napheesa Collier. This needs to be a situation where Napheesa Collier is getting multiple different looks. Because if you were to just have, Benigilani Hamilton is a fantastic defender. She is. But you can't just have Benigilani Hamilton on Napheesa, because you see this team, you see them adapt in real time. You see Napheesa Collier adapt in real time, depending on who's on her, right? For example, you all saw in game 4 of the past series with Minnesota and Connecticut. We saw a whole bunch of times where Alyssa Thomas was like the primary defender for Napheesa Collier, and Napheesa was like, "Okay, well, bet I'm just about to start scoring on you." And then what the Connecticut Sun had to do is they had to switch Alyssa Thomas off of Napheesa Collier and bring on DeWanna Bonner. And then Napheesa had a little bit more of a challenge on that front. You have to give her several different looks throughout the game. So at certain points in the game, yes, have Benijah Laney Hamilton on her. At certain points of the game, have Stewie. At certain points of the game, have Jonquel. But the majority of the main defender for Napheesa Collier needs to be Brianna Stewart. The reason why is because Brianna Stewart has a long wingspan, a 7'1" wingspan for Brianna Stewart, and she's quick. Yes, Jonquel Jones is tall. Jonquel Jones is a bit slow, which is why, yes, at some moments put her on Napheesa, but not very often. Not very often and not for long. But give Napheesa multiple looks. So that way she does not get comfortable. The goal for the New York Liberty is to make sure that Napheesa Collier is not comfortable at all. No. At the start of the game, Benijah Laney Hamilton. If Napheesa, see what Napheesa does, see what moves she's trying to make, and then boom, move Brianna Stewart on her, and then watch that work, and then just keep switching it up. Don't allow Napheesa to get comfortable, because if she gets comfortable, it's over. It's over. Also, for the keys to the game, I say that Stewie needs to take over. Now, yes, this team has a lot of weapons. The New York Liberty have a lot of weapons, right? But the number one weapon, in order for this team to win, is Brianna Stewart. The reason why is because I think she is a key piece to the defense, again, of Napheesa, as I just talked about. I also believe that on the offensive end, she is a player that's hard to stop, right? Brianna Stewart, we saw in that Aces series, we saw times where Brianna Stewart would be taking the ball down the court, right? Having Brianna Stewart be a primary ball handler for key parts in the series, I think is actually critically important, right? Her being able to start the offensive action from the get-go. That's going to be huge. That's going to be absolutely huge for this team to find success. Stewie has to be second half of the year Stewie, right? Not the first half of the year Stewie that took a backseat to Sabrina Ionescu. No. For this team to win the WNBA championship, Stewie needs to play like MVP Stewie. All right. Next up, I have Sabrina Ionescu needs to set the pace. Sab needs to set the pace for this team. She is the point guard. She's the starting point guard for this team. She needs to get them raring to go. She needs to get them raring to go early. Yes, Stewie is the number one option in my opinion. But Sabrina will set the pace. She will get everybody going. She needs to find Brianna Stewart in moments where she can score, right? Take control of the basketball, take care of the basketball, and when it's a chance for you to get hot, sure, absolutely get hot, absolutely. But the main thing that Sabrina has to do is just set the pace and set it fast. This New York Liberty team is a team that they like to run, right? The Minnesota Lynx also like to run, and so it's important for the point guard, aka Sabrina Ionescu, to select key moments, okay? The Minnesota Lynx just scored. They're going on the run. They just scored. Instead of taking the ball out of bounds and slowly walking it up, no. Push pace. Catch them off guard. Do little things to make the Minnesota Lynx uncomfortable on defense. And I think you're going to find a lot of success on that front. In relation to the Stewie point, Warley says MVP Stewie comeback loading. I think that's possible. I absolutely think that's possible. Also, Warley says I agree 100%. The key to the Libs winning this series will be Stewie playing like prime KD or Kevin Durant. I think it's Stewie playing like Stewie from 2018 and 2020. I think that's what it is. I think that's what it is. Lindy says Sabrina's second weapon. Yeah. Sabrina does not need to be the number one weapon for the team. She can be, absolutely can be. But in my opinion, it really does need to be Brianna Stewart that's leading the charge for this team. Absolutely. Machiavelli says Stewie has been shooting better from the three since the playoffs. And Mike remembers when Kevin Durant tweeted about Stewie years ago. Let's continue on. Let's continue on to the fourth point, which is Jonquel Jones needs a double-double. All right? She needs a double-double every single game, which means in order for Jonquel Jones to get a double-double, she actually has to stay out of foul trouble. That is an issue that has plagued Jonquel Jones. She is a player who is extremely talented, but she does get into foul trouble. She does get foul happy sometimes. She does sometimes, those foul calls are a little iffy, but other times it's very clear, like, what are you doing? Don't do that when you have 3 fouls, right? You're going to get taken out the game, right? Jonquel Jones, when she gets a double-double, and this is something that Sandy Brondello and others with the New York Liberty have said in the past, when Jonquel Jones gets a double-double, it severely increases the chance that the New York Liberty is going to win that game. Severely increases the chance they'll win when she gets a double-double. So that is the metric for her. I don't have a metric in terms of how many points she should get, how many rebounds she should get. Just get a double-double. Just get a double-double. And Sabrina needs to hit threes. Sabrina and Leonie Fibich needs to hit threes. You need to. That is this is a thing that's going to become a key piece to the series. It's a 3-point shot. The Minnesota Lynx have 3-point shooters. So does the New York Liberty. But for the New York Liberty, particularly for Leonie Fibich and Sabrina Ionescu, y'all got to be knocking down your 3-point shots because Kayla McBride, she's going to be hitting some shots. Courtney Williams, Bridget Carlton, Nafisa Collier, they're going to be hitting some 3-point shots. And so it is up to specifically Sabrina and Leonie to make that stuff happen. Yes, other players for the New York Liberty can hit threes, but those 2 players, I believe, are critical to the success of this team. Also, Courtney Vandersloot needs big minutes. Courtney Vandersloot is going to be coming off the bench for the series, and Natisha Heidemann is nothing to play with when it comes to a bench point guard. And so when Courtney Vandersloot comes in, she has to make sure that you take care of the basketball because Natisha Heidemann is going to try to steal that ball. And also make sure on defense when you're guarding Natisha Heidemann, you have to slide your feet and you got to be quick with it because Natisha Heidemann is a player that will blow by you and get a layup. And so for me, I'm going to be paying a lot of attention to when Courtney Vandersloot comes in the game and she's going against Natisha Heidemann. How quick can Courtney Vandersloot be on defense? And also, how well can she get the offensive game started for the New York Liberty, knowing that she's going to have Natisha Heidemann sort of pestering her the whole time. Like that to me, I think that's pretty critical for this team. And now that was kind of the New York Liberty, my sort of take about what the New York Liberty has to do. Now let's go over to what the Minnesota Lynx have to do. And number 1, stay out of foul trouble, Atlanta Smith. Stay out of foul trouble. You are a player who is extremely talented, but you get in foul trouble a lot. Stay on the court. You're going to be going against some really good post players, some really, really good post players. Jonquel Jones, she can put a body on you. And sometimes when you're trying to stop her, you may end up fouling. Stay out of foul trouble. Sometimes you may be on Jonquel, sometimes you may be on Brianna Stewart. Either way, regardless of who you are on, Atlanta Smith, keep your hands up. Don't swing your arms down. Don't get in foul trouble because your team needs you on the court. All right. Also, second point is get going from 3 early. So this is something that we saw in that first quarter of Game 5 where, Courtney Williams shot a 3. We saw Kayla McBride get a couple threes on, and it really did open up the game for the Minnesota Lynx. This is a team that thrives on 3-point shooting, and you need to get those shots early. Because when you get going early, if Bridget Carlton, if Courtney Williams, if Kayla McBride can get going early from the 3, it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be a lot tough. It's gonna be very, very tough. All right, my third point: bring Courtney Williams' dad. Courtney is a really good player, right? She's been great, right? She's been a starter in the WNBA for a while, right? When she was with Atlanta, when she was with Connecticut, when she was with the Chicago Sky, she's great starter. She's been a starter on several teams, right? But in this playoffs, there seems to be something special. There seems to be something special when Courtney Williams' dad shows up. Guys, we saw it in this year's playoffs. We saw it in this year's playoffs. We especially saw it in Game 5, where Courtney Williams was lighting it up, and her dad was waving the towel, and her dad was getting all into it. I love it. I love a moment when they show like the parents of these players, and the parents are going wild, and the players are sort of feeding off of that. Courtney Williams is she is a daddy's girl, right? She wants to make sure her dad is proud, and she wants to make sure that she is giving her best effort when her dad is in the building. So if I'm the Minnesota Lynx, Mr. Williams, you need to be there. Okay? He is extremely critical for this team because you want your players to feel their best, play their best. And if Courtney Williams' dad being there is going to help her to sort of be in the best mindset, to give the best effort. I'm not saying that she won't play well if her dad's not there, but I'm just saying her dad, to me, seems to be an X factor. And, Papa Williams, you need to be there. I know you're going to be there for the Minnesota games. For game 3 and game 4. I know you're going to be there. However, go on get you a flight to New York. Go on get you a flight to New York and make this happen because the team needs you. The team needs you. JP says Courtney Williams been on fire. She absolutely has. She has. I don't think it's stopping. I don't think her excellent play is stopping anytime soon. CSC says bring Courtney's dad. Haha. Yeah. I mean, even Mr. President agrees with me. Y'all hear him barking? He agrees that Courtney dad, he must be there. He must be there. Barbara says, I love watching her dad with a towel. Yeah, it was awesome. Like he was waving that thing. He was getting all into it, and I love to see it. I love to see it. Sean just says, yes, Courtney's dad needs to be in the building. Facts. Vera says, I think Courtney balls out. She's hungry. She is hungry. She is hungry. Mr. President's in the building. He is in the building. Not new glasses. I just don't wear them that often. So they seem new, but they're actually not new. All right. Let's continue on. And guys, if y'all could, please do me a huge favor and hit that like button. That really does help the channel out a whole lot. Hit that like button. Also, make sure to hit that subscribe button if you can. I make content all about women's basketball, so if that is your thing, make sure to subscribe to the channel. All right. Let's continue on. My number 4 point is to get Jonquel Jones in foul trouble. If you can get Jonquel Jones in foul trouble, it opens up so much more for the Minnesota Lynx. If you can get her in foul trouble and she's out the game, it's that much easier for you to work and for you to really, really make stuff happen. Because if Jonquel's in foul trouble, you got to put her on the bench. Okay, who do you put in for the Minnesota Lynx? Who do you put in? You're probably putting in a player like a Kayla Thornton, or you're bringing in a player like a Niara Sabli. More likely, Kayla Thornton. Kayla Thornton is much shorter than Jonquel Jones, right? And Niara Sabli is basically the same height, but but getting Jonquel in foul trouble and having Kayla Thornton play a whole bunch of minutes, that's going to benefit the Minnesota Lynx. Because one thing they struggle with, one thing they don't have is height. So when they're playing against taller players, yes, they can still ball out and they can still make stuff happen. But I also think they thrive more when they're going against players that are close to their size. And Kayla Thornton is a lot closer to their size. She's 6'1". So it's a whole lot closer. So I do think the goal is to get Jonquel Jones in foul trouble, get her out of the game. That's a huge key to me. If I am Cheryl Reeve, that's what I'm telling my team. Every chance you get, go after Jonquel Jones, because it's not going to be that difficult to get Jonquel in foul trouble. It's not. If you go after her, she's going to foul you. It's just a matter of whether or not the refs call it or not. That's a different thing. But go after her as much as you can, knowing that she's going to get those foul calls. And then when in doubt, get it to Napheesa Collier. Napheesa Collier is the number 1 option for this team. She's the number 1 option, and I would probably also say number 2 option for this team. She can do just about everything. Just about everything. When in doubt, give her the basketball. Let her decide what she wants to do. Let her decide if she wants to take it herself. Let her decide if she wants to pass it out. Even in Game 5, where we saw Kayla McBride and Courtney Williams go off, right? We saw them score a lot. It wasn't like Napheesa wasn't touching the ball. In those possessions where they would get a really good shot, Napheesa Collier still touched the ball. She needs to touch the ball almost every possession. And have her decide what she wants to do. When in doubt, get it to Fee. Let her decide. And it turns out to be a lot of success when this team does that. Also, set real screens. The Minnesota Lynx is a team that plays very fluid offensively, right? This is a team that's constantly moving. When you watch the Minnesota Lynx, it's like, I've said it before, I'm going to say it again, it's like beautiful basketball. This is a team that they move constantly. There's usually a screen. There's usually a screen on the ball, quite a bit, right? There's backdoor screens. There's lots of cuts that happen. But the thing that enables a lot of that stuff is real screens. When the Minnesota Lynx set real screens and don't leave much space for the defender to get above the screen, if this team can do that, they are going to get opportunity after opportunity after opportunity. It's gonna be hard to stop the Minnesota Lynx if they set real screens. If they keep doing that, it's gonna be hard. And then on defense, active hands. You are not taller than this team, all right? This team is much taller than you, right? Much taller. You got Leonie Fibich, the player who basically plays the shooting guard role for the New York Liberty. Leonie Fevers is 6'4", guys. She's 6'4". You have Brianna Stewart, who's 6'4". You have Jonquel Jones, who is 6'6". You got some tall players, and the way you beat a team with tall players, your hands are always up. Your hands are always up. You are denying the pass down low, but also you are making it crazy hard for them to even get it down low, right? You are the whole game. Your arms are basically like this. That's what you got to do to beat a tall team like that, especially when you are so short, right? Their shooting guard for the New York Liberty is taller than Nafisa Collier, who is the starting power forward for this team, for the Minnesota Lynx. You can beat them, absolutely, but you need to keep your hands up and keep them active all 40 minutes. Because if you don't, you're going to run the risk of starting to kind of get cooked a little bit. Like I do think that that's something that this team really does have to sort of think about, because you don't want to get into a situation where you're allowing you're allowing this team to get good looks. So active hands. Mike says active hands can get you in foul trouble. Also, it can, which is why I said Alana Smith stay out of foul trouble. Alana Smith is the primary person who really gets in foul trouble. Yes, Nafisa Collier has gotten in foul trouble before, but in those times, I really do feel like it was like bad foul calls on her. She's a play. She does foul, but she doesn't foul as much. To me, the real key player that you need to worry about is Alana Smith in terms of foul trouble. Right? I think that's a key thing. Lighthouse says if a player comes in and nothing changes, that's what makes them boring to me. I want to see their skill set in action and changing the mood of the game. And the some of the bench players for both teams can actually do that. Specifically for the Minnesota Lynx, again, as I said before, you bring in a player like a Natisha Heidemann. She does change the game at times for the Minnesota Lynx. I think she has had a fantastic playoff season this year, right? For the New York Liberty, it really is about Courtney Vandersloot, and she is a player who can go either way in terms of changing the game and changing the momentum that the team has at the time. William says, Nafisa, they're going to call your name. I like the joke. I like the joke. I like the joke, William. Nice job there. William also says, active hands can come in handy. I like what you're doing, William. I like what you are doing. That's pretty funny. Albert says the easiest way to beat a team with size is to play fast, and it's the reason the Fever defeated the Liberty this year. Yes, it's to play fast, but it's all like it's to play fast, it's to play smart, and it's to play very active on defense. Right? So I think it's a combination of all that stuff. Vera says, I hope the referees stay out of the game and make decent calls. I hope so too. Fingers crossed. Let's all hope for that together. Now, guys, I've kind of talked through what I think about the game and what I think is the keys and all that stuff. And now I want to get to the keys, we already went through keys to the game. Let's get to my prediction. So guys, in the chat, tell me your prediction. What is your prediction about this game? Because we're about to go through my predictions. I want to hear what y'all have to say, okay? So, with all of that being said, when I'm talking about the teams and like the personnel that they have and what they have to offer and all that stuff, okay? With all of that being said, I ultimately, at the end of the day, do have the New York Liberty winning in 5. This is going to be a 5-game series, in my opinion, and the New York Liberty will ultimately make it happen. And finally, the 6th time will be the charm, and they will win the WNBA finals. I do have them winning. The reason why is because I just truly believe that the starting lineup for the New York Liberty is just, it's extremely good. And the 1-2 combo, especially this year, the 1-2 combo of Breanna Stewart and Sabrina Ionescu, it's going to be fantastic to watch them play. Again, Stewie is really getting back to being that number one player, right? For a decent part of the season, the number one player for the New York Liberty was Sabrina Ionescu. Breanna Stewart has really gotten back into her normal self, especially after the Olympic break. And I think her and Saab are going to, they about to ball out together. They're about to ball out together. And I do think that Benajelani Hamilton is going to give some really, really good minutes defensively, right? I think that Leonie Fibich is going to hit a bunch of threes and be a big impact player, both on the offensive and defensive end, which is why they added her to the starting lineup, because defensively she is also very good. And I think that Jonquel Jones she's gonna get her double doubles. Like I don't see an instance where the New York Liberty struggle to the point where they lose the series, right? I do think that it's going to go 5 games. I really do. I think that the Minnesota Lynx are going to give it to them. They're really going to give it to them. But at the end of the day, the best team with the best players, ultimately, I think are going to show up and win. And for me, this year, that's the New York Liberty. This team has learned and grown. When you think about really, really good teams, and when you think about championship winning teams, what do they usually go through? They go through some adversity, and that's exactly what this New York Liberty team has gone through. They went through the adversity and the trial and heartbreak of last year, losing in the WNBA finals to the Aces, where 2 of their starters didn't even play. 2 of their starters when Kia Stokes and Chelsea Gray were down, and the Aces had Kayla George and Sydney Colson, who barely played that season, end up playing big minutes and helping the Aces win the championship. That was embarrassing for the New York Liberty, right? Not only that, but the Aces rubbed it in the parade and in their commentary and whatnot. They rubbed it in, and the New York Liberty didn't forget that. And I believe Breanna Stewart said it. They didn't forget. They didn't forget what was said about them. They didn't forget how that made them feel, right? And having a sort of catastrophic failure like that, where you have that, at least last year, she was the MVP of last season, Breanna Stewart. You had huge players. You had two MVPs on your team. You had Sabrina Ionescu on your team, and you lost to Kayla George and Sydney Colson. It was a tough finals loss. And sometimes when you endure, if you're a team and you endure a big loss like that, it makes you sort of take stock about stuff, and it makes you sort of change the way that it makes you sort of change the way that you think about the game, the way you approach the game, right? And so I think that now is the time. I believe that that the players for the New York Liberty are extremely focused. They know what it means to make the finals and lose in surprising fashion, right? They know what that looks like. And I think they're going to come out this finals with like fire. They're going to be ready to go. And ultimately, I do think they're going to win. The Minnesota Lynx is an extremely talented team. They are, which is why I think it's going to go 5 games. They're extremely talented. I am not sleeping on them. So a Pharaoh Asio comment. I am not sleeping on this team. However, the Minnesota Lynx, they're talented. They're hungry, absolutely. But I just think that there is a little extra edge that the New York Liberty have this year. I think there's an edge. And JP, yes, you took the thoughts out of my head. JP says that's why I think the Liberty have an edge in mental fortitude. They do have an edge in mental fortitude. They do. They absolutely do. This is the team that has endured a lot and that has been embarrassed on a large platform, right? Everybody saw what happened last year, and everybody saw how they got clowned because of what happened last year. And and it wasn't the fact that they lost; it was the way they lost to the Aces. That was a huge issue, right? They have an edge. They don't want that feeling anymore. And I really do think that, yes, Minnesota's fantastic. They are. I just don't think it's their year. The reason why is because they're playing the New York Liberty. I think the New York Liberty are too hungry and too good to lose. So I think it goes 5 games. I think Minnesota gives them a real tough time. They give them a run for their money. But ultimately, when it's all said and done, I do believe that the New York Liberty will win. Ultimately. Machiavelli, I agree. Yeah, I think this is New York's year. This is New York's championship to lose. Now, if Sabrina Ionescu and Brianna Stewart, if they lay an egg, absolutely they can lose. Absolutely. I'm not saying that they can't lose. Minnesota can win, possibly, because anybody can get got. Anybody, y'all know the motto. We respect the motto. Anybody can get got at any time. It don't matter who you are. But I just think that the Liberty are too talented and too hungry to lose. So that's my thought right there. That's my thought. Quintus says, I don't think Reeves will forget all of the flack she got for her Olympic team almost losing. She must be pretty motivated too. Yeah, I'm sure she is. I'm sure she is very motivated. And the fact that the Minnesota Lynx have made it this far is a huge accomplishment. I don't think it's a oh, this looks bad for Minnesota to lose. No, nobody besides the Minnesota players themselves and their coaches believe that they would make it this far this year. If you ask all the basketball experts, they weren't checking for Minnesota to make the finals. All the experts, I'm not an expert, but like myself included, none of us hoped, none of us thought that Minnesota would make it this far. So the fact they did is, to me, a win. Yes, they're motivated. Yes, they do want to win. Yes, they're an extremely talented team. But they have accomplished way more than people thought that they would. People didn't believe in them. They believed in themselves, and that's what got them here. So I huge shout out to Minnesota. Huge shout out. But ultimately, I don't think they win. I do believe that the Minnesota Lynx will lose to the New York Liberty. Ultimately. Lindy says Lynx will be tired. Liberty had more rest to prepare. To be honest with you, I don't think rest is that big of an issue. To be honest with you, I think the where we are at in women's basketball and the way that that players rest and recover and all that stuff, I just really don't think that. I don't think that Minnesota not having a bunch of time hurts them in between games, right? They played yesterday. They're going to play again tomorrow. I don't think this hurts them. I really don't. I think that ultimately they're a pretty young and spry team, and I think they'll be fine. Like I don't think the reason why they lose the series, I don't think is because of rest. Because everybody's tired. Like this is the playoffs. Everybody's tired when they get to this moment. I I don't think that I don't think that it's that big of an issue. I just think that the Liberty are better, and they just have what it takes, and not that Minnesota doesn't. It's just that the Liberty have the edge necessary to make it happen. Lighthouse says, false Quita. I've been saying since round one, Lynx are the team to beat, but I agree that New York will win it all. I am not saying that people didn't believe that Minnesota could make it here at the beginning of the playoffs. I'm saying at the beginning of the season. At the beginning of the season, basically all the commentators and whatnot, nobody was saying that the Minnesota Lynx would make the playoffs at the beginning of the season. People weren't saying it. And if it was very few people. Like very, very few people. Like the majority of the women's basketball consensus believed that it would be New York, Vegas. There was some talk a little bit about Seattle. There was some talk a little bit about, maybe Phoenix, But for the most part, people weren't really talking about the Minnesota Lynx at the beginning of the season. And now might have times to change. As the season went on and we saw the Lynx just win after win after win. I think especially the Commissioner's Cup win that they had, I think that opened a lot of people's eyes. I think that opened a lot of people's eyes to how good the Minnesota Lynx were this year. But yeah, absolutely. Yes, starting in the playoffs, sure. There was absolutely a chance that Minnesota would make it, and a lot of people was like, hey, yeah, I think they're going to make it to the finals. But that was at the start of the playoffs. At the beginning of the season, no one expected this. Very few people expected this. Let me clarify. Very, very few people expected this. But yet here they are. So yeah, that's my thoughts right there. Yeah, that's the stream. Thank y'all so much for rocking with me. Thank you. And again, I am very curious. Let me know in the chat. What do y'all think? In terms of who's going to win? How many games do you think it's going to take? Let me know that in the chat. Thank y'all so much for rocking with me. Guys, if y'all could please do me a huge favor, hit that like button. Also hit that subscribe button. I make content all about women's basketball, so if that is what y'all want to do, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Also, guys, if y'all could consider becoming a member of the YouTube channel, you can hit that join button right down below and become a channel member. When you become a channel member, your comments sort of get like an extra little boost in terms of me being able to visibly see it, and it makes it more likely that I'll be able to read your chat as we go through the live streams. Also, your comments will be highlighted as well, so you get like a cool little badge when you become a channel member. Also, shout out to the folks on Patreon who are actively supporting this channel every single month. I really do appreciate your support so much. If y'all want to support me on Patreon, y'all can do that at patreon.com/Quita Loves Sports. Guys, my name is Quita. I love sports, and I thank you all so much for rocking with me. Be kind to people, be respectful to people. Guys, we have the WNBA finals starting tomorrow. It's a glorious time, and I, for one, am very excited, guys. I will be doing a play-by-play of the game, so hopefully y'all join me right back here tomorrow for that. I'll also have a recap directly after the game, so if y'all don't want to watch the play-by-play, tune in right after the game for a recap about what happened. Yeah, that's it, guys. I love y'all, but most importantly, Jesus loves you, and he wants a relationship with you guys. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Have a very, very good night. Be safe. Have a good night's sleep. And I will talk to you tomorrow. Let's go WNBA. All right, guys. Till next time. Bye-bye.